feel like the Democratic Party has really lost their way because they don't allow a primary process to play out organically. They manipulate the process. They manipulated it again in 2019. And I don't feel, I think what I wanted to ask Dan is there a possibility that a new DNC chair, I feel like there needs to be reform in the primary process to let, maybe an outsider, a businessman, someone come in who's not anointed by the party, who will actually represent the views of the Democrats in the party.
Yeah. So Melissa, you represent, I'll throw to Dan in a second, you represent the views of tens of millions of people, not just in the Sanders wing. They kept Bernie from winning in 16 and 20 by rigging the rules. They tried to keep they kept Bobby Kennedy. They drove him out of the party. Then they tried to keep him off the ballot. They tried to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. So Dan, do you think the party will move towards, whoever the chair is will move towards that? Or do you think they'll continue to do things? And I'll add to the list something that bothered people was they also helped pro-MAGA candidates win primaries in order to try to get people who are easier to beat. So Dan, what do you think of that cluster of things?
Well, I will say both parties tend to play in the others' primaries to try to stir trouble and promote candidates who could harm the perceived threat. But look, it's a great question. I mean, I think there's two parts to it. One is getting away from Iowa and New Hampshire kind of always going first and just the kind of institutional glut that has occurred from those two dominating. And you saw Biden try to move away. My sense is now opportunistic candidates are playing to New Hampshire and Iowa to try to get them back. The problem that the party will have, and I think it's the same on the Republican side, is the delegates that determine it like being super delegate. I mean, they're the same people who are super delegates who get a vote and they get courted, all year long, and flattery goes a long way. I think an outsider coming in and shaking this up, I think has tremendous value and ultimately would produce a better nominee. I mean, I think another place you'd hear a lot of Democrats say is to get rid of caucuses and just go to primaries. I mean, caucuses tend to limit, who has time to go sit for 3 or 4 hours in a gymnasium on a Tuesday night versus just going to pull a lever and, wait in line.
Dan, do you think the party should stop rigging the system for the establishment or not?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
do you think they will?
A disaster.
Do you think they will?
I hope they will. I mean, if you think about the last two Democratic presidents, Bill Clinton was not the preferred candidate, right, in 1992, and Barack Obama was not because it was Hillary Clinton. Now, he ultimately kind of overtook her, but every time the party thinks it knows best, it struggled.
So we did this in after 12 in terms of not the calendar as much as, well, we did a little calendar tweaking, but also delegate allocation. And you better, I mean, Dan's right, like you better have a backbone and buy-in from everybody else because it is one of the most sensitive topics. And I'm obviously not as big of an expert on the DNC, but on the RNC, it is a club of like proportions you've never seen. We literally refer to it as the 168 because there's 168 members, and many of them have been there for a while, and they're very institutional. And so reforms to the process, which is one of the things we did after the 12 election, after Romney lost, it is a very, very difficult, issue to deal with in the family.
Yeah, Melissa, thank you for coming back. We appreciate
But you're right, Melissa. You're absolutely right.
Thank you.